16 children, one house, and a secret so dark an entire state is still trying to make sense of it. Before we go further, if stories like this keep you up at night wondering how something like this could happen, hit subscribe now, because what you're about to hear only gets more unbelievable. It started with a warrant meant for something else entirely. Investigators in Vinton County, Ohio weren't looking for what they found on Omer Street. But when they stepped inside that home in the small village of Hamden, they walked into something that would leave even seasoned officers shaken. 16 children, ages ranging from just 20 months old to 18 years, living, according to authorities, in conditions so severe, officials would later say livestock are sometimes kept in better circumstances. For investigators, the real mystery wasn't just what they found. It was how it had gone unnoticed for so long. No school records, no hospital visits on file, no neighbors who could say they'd ever really seen these children's faces. 16 young lives, seemingly erased from public record, hidden in plain sight, in an ordinary residential neighborhood, in a town so small most people had never heard its name until this case broke. When the news reached beyond the county line, the reaction was immediate, and it was disbelief. Hamden isn't a sprawling city with dark corners and forgotten alleyways. It's the kind of place where, on paper, everyone is supposed to know everyone. So how does something like this stay buried for years? Authorities moved quickly to clarify two things the public needed to understand. First, there was no evidence of a broader danger to the community. Second, and just as critical, investigators found no evidence this was connected to human trafficking. As disturbing as the allegations were, officials stressed this appeared to be isolated to one family. That distinction shifted the entire investigation. This wasn't about an outside network preying on children. This was about what had allegedly been happening, for years, inside one home, among people who were supposed to protect these children the most. Rescue, as any trauma specialist will tell you, is only the beginning. Children who have lived through prolonged hardship often carry that weight for years, physically, emotionally, developmentally. Recognizing the scale of what these 16 children may have endured, the state of Ohio committed $1 million toward their care and recovery. That number alone tells you something. This wasn't a short-term crisis response. This was the state preparing for a long, difficult road, rebuilding routine, trust, and safety for children who may have never fully experienced any of it. Just one day after the rescue, the case moved into the justice system. On July 1, 2026, 4 family members stood before the Vinton County Common Pleas Court: Gary Siders Jr., Elizabeth Siders, Gary Siders Sr., and Christina Siders, parents, grandparents, all 4 now facing 16 counts each of child endangering, second-degree felonies. All 4 pleaded not guilty. The court set bond at $300,000 for each of them. Judge Lena Fetherolf Rogers didn't mince words about what these charges carry. If convicted, each count could bring a sentence of 2 to 12 years. Multiply that by 16 counts per defendant, and the scale of what's legally at stake becomes almost impossible to comprehend. But here's the part of this story that matters just as much as the horror of the allegations. A charge is not a conviction. Every one of these 4 defendants is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty in a court of law. That's not a technicality, it's the foundation, the entire American, and honestly, the entire Western justice system is built on. No matter how disturbing the accusations, that presumption doesn't disappear. Just as the case appeared to gain momentum, it took an unexpected turn. Gary Siders Sr., the eldest of the 4 defendants, suffered a medical emergency while in custody. Doctors would later confirm a serious condition requiring specialized treatment, one severe enough that the court approved his release on a recognizance bond so he could be hospitalized. If released from care, officials said, he'd be required to wear a GPS monitor. At the same time, his defense team filed something that would add a whole new layer of complexity to this case, a motion questioning his competency to stand trial. That doesn't mean anyone has determined he isn't competent. It simply opens a legal process where the court evaluates whether he's capable of understanding these proceedings and assisting in his own defense. As of the most recent information available, that process is still ongoing. No resolution, no timeline. And in the weeks since, this case has done something almost more unsettling than the initial headlines. It's gone quiet. 2 gag orders now stand, one shielding Gary Siders Jr., one shielding Christina Siders, barring officials, attorneys, and court staff from speaking publicly about case specifics. Ohio's Attorney General, Andy Wilson, has confirmed he can discuss general process, but nothing about the evidence, and nothing about what investigators uncovered as they build toward a grand jury. Wilson has also taken the unusual step of publicly warning people not to enter or film the now vacant home on Omer Street, not just because it's illegal, because he says it may still be physically dangerous. Meanwhile, in Vinton County, a county of barely 13,000 people, a grand jury convenes only once every month or two, not weekly, not on demand, which means, weeks after these arrests, no indictment has been handed down. Elizabeth Siders is still waiting on a bond decision. Gary Siders Sr. is still waiting on that competency evaluation. And 16 children are still out there somewhere, safe now, but waiting too, for a system most of them are far too young to fully understand. The house on Omer Street sits empty now. No lights, no voices, just silence. But make no mistake, this story is not over. Somewhere behind closed doors, a grand jury is preparing to decide what happens next. And when that silence finally breaks, the world may learn far more about what really happened behind that door. Until then, all we can do is watch and wait. If this case has you as invested as it has us, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next update the moment it breaks. And before you go, like this video and drop a comment below. What do you think really happened inside that house? We'll see you in the next one.